Here we are at my desk in my art studio, and in this video I want to share a technique that I use in my art making practice in case it's of any interest to you in your art making practice. And it's really how I use photocopies, so how I take photocopies of drawings or pages of my sketchbook that I've made and then use the photocopies in new artwork. So sort of taking something that I've already drawn and created and then using that as the springboard or the starting point for a new piece of artwork. So we're on my desk and I'm going to explain the technique that I use to utilise photocopies of my artwork in my artwork. So this is the kind of thing I'm just going to talk you through how I made it. So I'll talk you through the technique that I used to make these artworks in case it's of interest to you. So what I tend to do is photocopy a page from my sketchbook. There's something very lovely and sort of circular about using drawings that I've used before or made as a starting point of a new piece of artwork. So there's a sort of a thread that's following through and a conversation continued. So that's what I'm going to show you today. And I've put together some sort of little examples so that you can see what I mean. It's a really straightforward, simple technique. Photocopying something that you've drawn or something from your sketchbook. Now I am obsessed by sort of mark making and really developing and uncovering and discovering my own unique marks, and I'm really encouraging of other people to do exactly the same thing. So this is a photocopy just on my inkjet home office sort of photocopy printer, nothing fancy, just on kind of copier paper. And these are the things that I've photocopied. So in a previous video I've shown you these little mark making books that I put together. So that's one of them, and here's another one. So they're just books full of my marks and scribbles, but I really enjoy using them in my artwork. So so I photocopied a page from one of those books here, and that's what I will use as the foundation of another piece of art. So what I do is I stick it using, this is what I've used, gloss medium. I've also used matte medium in the past, and it just gives a different effect. So gloss medium is a kind of medium that you use when you're using excuse me, acrylic paint. So it makes it glossy and it makes it sort of easier to, increases the flow. And I tend to have it about in my studio, so I'm using what I have about. And what I do is I stick the photocopy onto a heavy piece of paper. So I am using 350 grams per square metre paper, which is £130 for our American friends, and it's thick. So what happens when you use sort of medium or thinner paper is that it will crinkle. So the reason I'm using thicker paper is to stop that. So here's one I've prepared earlier. So what I do is I put a thin layer of the medium onto the thick paper and then just stick down the photocopy. Now I've also done it in that I cut bits out and kind of arranged them, but in this case I'm just sticking it down because it already looks like lots of kind of jigsaw pieces, just the pages that I've photocopied. So I'm just sticking that down onto the thick piece of paper with a thin layer of the medium. And then I just wait for that to dry. And once it's dry, I go over it with another layer of the gloss medium. So I'm preparing a kind of base. And you can see here it's a little bit kind of glossy. And putting another layer of the medium over the top of the photocopy means that the photocopy paper won't absorb water. So you're kind of preparing a surface to paint on. So that's what I've done here. So I've just stuck the photocopy onto a thick piece of paper with one layer of gel medium, gloss medium, and I've let that dry, and then I've just put another layer of gloss medium over the top, just with a random brush that I had lying around. So that is the kind of base layer. And then I use this layer to paint over the top. So these are just some little quick examples that I've done. So this was just a very quick kind of vase that I made with some negative painting. So I just painted the white bits around the edge. So I've painted over the top with a white acrylic paint. Can you see that there? It's just a little quick example. And I mean, you could really go to town with this technique, but I just wanted to show you how I do that. And what I really like is that you kind of get an echo of what's beneath. It kind of creates a really interesting surface. I've just that was a very quick little kind of white paint over the top to show you the possibilities of the technique. And then here is another one where I have again put in some sort of white acrylic paint, and then I've waited for that to dry, and then I've gone over the top with a permanent fine line marker. And then to finish both of the pieces, I've put an extra layer of gloss medium just to kind of bring it all together. So I just wanted to show you these examples. I mean, they're not the best examples ever, but I just wanted to kind of give you this technique because I think it has lots of different possibilities. So if I've just done a sort of really simple negative painting, but you could paint with all kinds of colours and patterns and all sorts of things over the top. And I just think it's a lovely way to incorporate something you've already drawn into your artwork. Now, one of the things I did want to say is that when you put the gloss medium over the top of a photocopier, it's an inkjet photocopy, so it will smudge a little. So this was the original photocopy, and then this is what it looks like when it's got the gel medium over the top. So there's a slight sort of smudginess about it, which I actually really love. So I don't know how you could possibly avoid that. So that's just a part of the process. So I just wanted to share that with you in case it's a sort of technique that you would like to use in your own art making. And I think it's got lots of sort of lovely possibilities and lots of ways in which you could really kind of fly with it. So there we go.